Hello and welcome to the StreamKick Podcast. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Camper, back with the 14th installment of the show, having a blast doing the podcast, and we do really appreciate all of you guys for checking out the show, so thank you for that. Tonight, I'm joined by the relentless, unforgiving, most ruthless and cunning predator of the African savannah, RoboKast. What's up, Rhino?
That's never been called that, but thank you.
Why'd you sound so nervous?
That's a lot to live up to.
Sweating? I think he's sweating. Palms are sweaty.
He doesn't know it's Rhino spaghetti. He doesn't know what's coming. That's why it's just like the Rhino. It just comes out of nowhere in the darkness.
Hey guys.
Also joining us tonight is the man who will only wear Supreme branded medical equipment. Ace, how's that arm, dude?
Arm is good. Yeah.
Have you drawn the little Supreme logo on your?
I got a Supreme sticker on both sides. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Your best brand ambassador they've ever had. And no StreamKick podcast is quite the same without the man who stays awake until he goes to bed each night, RoboKast.
Dude, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. This is revelation. This is a revelation right here.
Life's all about perspective, man. It's all about perspective. Well, thanks, guys. We have a pretty awesome show lined up tonight. We're going to go through top 3 stories of the week, starting off with the latest. Actually, who the hell put this article together? I'm going back and look at my notes. Oh, Stream Elements. I forget. These things come out all the time, and I forget who does them. Stream Elements and Arsenal.gg just came out with their Q2 streaming industry report, which is exciting. Fun fact for the loyal StreamKick podcast listeners, we did an entire episode on the Q1 report that didn't actually record at all.
That was a lost fun one. Was that one? Oh man,
that was a really good episode too that no one will ever hear but us. Anyway, maybe that'll be like our 100th episode extravaganza. But anyway, so I was excited when I saw this. I'm like, cool, we get to talk about data. This was nuts though. So we know obviously with COVID and all that, things have been good for streaming. Things have been really good for streaming. With every crisis, there's a winner somewhere. All right. So second quarter, Twitch viewership, 56% increase. And when you think about how much viewership they actually have, that is an astronomical amount of additional viewership. So it kind of makes sense why Mixer decided to call it quits. They really weren't growing that much at the end of the first quarter. And Facebook was up 75%. Now, it's interesting about this, the article that I pulled this from, is that they didn't talk about YouTube at all. And it's always been Twitch, then it's been YouTube. Now, YouTube's not even getting like an honorable mention in this one. It's just all Twitch, all Facebook. In June alone, which now June is looking to be the best month of live streaming ever. Just one month in particular, it's just crushing it. Facebook grew 200% in a single month. That probably had a lot to do. Facebook?
Yeah.
That
was when they started.
Facebook gaming's been around since, I don't know, like 2018.
Oh,
something like that.
Oops.
Yeah, it's been around a little while. To put it in perspective, they were the same size as Mixer. Yeah. Yeah, who do you work for? What are you doing
Not
here?
Zuckerberg. If there's anything that has the word Zuckerberg or Facebook in it, I just tune out every time.
Well, good. I have some really important questions for you to answer in this one.
All right. I'll be there.
So, but for context though, in all seriousness, in January 2019, Facebook and Mixer were almost exactly the same in terms of viewership. I want to say it was like 27, 28 million monthly viewers in January of last year. So to kind of put that in perspective, Mixer now is of course gone. Part of that, of course, has to do with Mixer's announcement. Facebook now taking, I think that announcement was made in June. Facebook kind of taking some gain from that, which is cool. But I want to throw this first question, Robo. I was going to ask you, but after what you just said, maybe I'll let Ace take the first one. Ace, what do you think Facebook is doing right that other platforms aren't? Like, why is it all of a sudden they're like the one and everyone else is just kind of like, I don't know, just not even registering?
Well, I don't know that it's so much of them doing things right as it is the timing. I think so much of this has to do with the timing. In a time that so many people are transitioning from other things, other entertainment activities, to streaming and to esports and to gaming, Facebook just makes that transition easier. It just makes that transition from people who already have Facebook and who are already on that, media platform doing their thing on there, and who already have, like subconsciously already are building their platform on that social media. It's just easier for them to transition and kind of make that switch. So it's easier for people who are streaming on there to reach those groups as well. But I was also reading right before this a Business Insider article that was talking about why it's easier for streamers to make money on Facebook gaming, and I'm not exactly sure how much of it is really true and how much of it is really like real, considering that the audience is so much smaller. But I was seeing some things about how Facebook chooses the people that they invest in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the quotes that I found interesting was that they select people after watching them stream for a set amount of time. We put our stamp on creators who fit our community, was the Facebook's head of gaming product.
So you're talking about like their partnership equivalent, roughly.
Yeah, but also just like, I'm not even sure if that's just partnership, but I think it's mostly that. But I mean, there's a big demand, and the numbers change every month, and there's a long queue of people to get into this level up program.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of it is just how they choose who they're investing in, who they're promoting.
So I checked it out the other day. I haven't been on there in a while, but I checked it out the other day because now it's a lot more pervasive on the site. Like when you go into Facebook, I'm talking about desktop, not mobile. When you go into
like
desktop,
Facebook gaming is more.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
a tab now. It's like on the top of my Facebook experience, and there's always like a little, like Facebook had like that, the notification icon. There's like a number there to let you know, like you have 99 plus or whatever. There'd be that thing on there, and it's on that, and you can't tell it's a game. Like the icon they use is the weirdest fucking icon. It doesn't make any sense. I clicked it as in part because it was red, and I'm like, well, what am I missing? And two, because it was an icon that I didn't know what it meant. I'm like, well, I got to figure that out. And when I went in and I started looking at like what was there, their discovery experience is really not, it's not better than Twitch's per se, but they do stuff differently. So like for instance, in the mix of streamers that I saw, there were both online and offline streamers included. And if you clicked an offline streamer, you got a like a VOD of them. And I can only assume, because I've been on Facebook for a long time, I can only assume that Facebook is using some kind of algorithm, even if it's very rudimentary, to make some sort of suggestion to me of what I should see on that platform. Otherwise, why would it give me offline content, right?
And that's what Twitch is notably known for not doing, is just showing you whoever has the most viewers. But I mean, also just thinking about like that access of how you got from your general Facebook page to Facebook gaming. I'm thinking about just all these people, like my grandma who scrolls Facebook, and just like all of these people who now with so much time are just scrolling through Facebook and exploring Facebook because they have nothing better to do. How many of them click that button that's just on their page that's new and red, and kind of explore and say, hey, what's this? I think that access is important.
So you think the numbers are a little inflated then?
A little inflated, but not to the degree that it really matters. I mean, the numbers are also inflated just because of the number of people using Twitch for viewership versus Facebook. But I do think that there's a lot more, and maybe there's probably a statistic that's going to prove me wrong, but I think there's more recurring viewers on Twitch than on Facebook. And maybe we're going to see it pivot, or not pivot, but peak, the Facebook viewership peak at some point, because it's growing. People are checking it out. I'm not sure how many people are staying there, but
yeah.
I feel like we should touch more on the fact that they promote offline streams. I feel like that's probably the most counterproductive thing you could ever do. It doesn't make any sense. Who's going to watch an offline stream or a VOD and be like, oh, wow, this guy's really good, I'm going to watch his channel? People aren't watching live streams to watch VODs. It's the same reason people don't watch VODs on Twitch. So why would somebody want to do that?
So I think you bring up a good point. I think the counter to that is, I think what they're saying is like, all right, well, if I show you a VOD of this person's content, you enjoy it, then you'll come back when they're live, right? So in other words,
I was gonna say, does it tell you up front that it's a VOD, or is it kind of like confusing?
No, it's pretty clear. Basically, it's the absence of something that indicates it's live. I forget what they use. I think they might even have like the word live. So if it's not there, then it's
but
not
all
live.
those streams are grouped together though. There's not like a separate, like everything's grouped
I
together.
thought you meant they were mixed in. Like, here's a guy playing Fortnite, and here's a guy who was playing Fortnite.
No, that's what he's saying. Yeah. It's all grouped together. It's all one big.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Throw it all in there, and it is what it is.
Fucking Zuckerberg.
I just want to find a reason to insult Mark Zuckerberg.
It could have been perfect. Zuckerberg could have done it perfect, and Robo would still just be like, fucking stupid. Like, it could have been the way he would have built it, and he would still just be like,
dude, I cannot give him credit for anything after seeing the way that man surfs. I'm sorry.
In all fairness, you hated this dude before he surfed.
I hate him more now that I saw him surfing.
Was it the surfing part, the fact that it was a motorized surfboard, or the fact that what his face looked like?
It was just a combination.
This guy was on a motorized surfboard.
You haven't seen this, Ari?
Oh my god, where have I been living? What?
Dude, look up. It's probably front page
now?
of Google. Look up Zuckerberg surfing. He has like 10 pounds of zinc on his face with the most awkward surfing position. He's surfing like he's on skis, and
I think he's still wearing a hoodie.
He's wearing a long sleeve shirt.
In Hawaii,
and it's motorized. Like, what? This guy's a robot, dude. Sorry.
It is pretty crazy. But in all seriousness, though, I think Facebook, there's a couple things Facebook has going for it that are I think should be to some degree concerning for Twitch. And one is there's a built-in audience already, right? Twitch just doesn't have that. It never had that. Facebook's got it, and if someone just decides to start streaming, they already have an audience there. Like, if someone were to just go to Twitch, they still have to go back to Facebook to get those people to come, and then they have to get them off the platform. It's like, that's a challenge. The second thing is, Facebook makes money off of its ad platform. It does that whether or not people stream or not. So the whole streaming piece is completely unhooked, decoupled from how they make money, whereas Twitch makes no money if the streaming thing isn't there. So Facebook doesn't have to make money by streaming. They're doing just fine on the other side of the business. It's their core business. They're going to stick with it. And I think that's, if I was Twitch, I would be a little worried about that, because yes, Twitch has Amazon, but Amazon and Twitch are different things. Facebook and Facebook Gaming are a single entity.
Well, Microsoft made money off of other things too, and Mixer wasn't exactly isn't that the same case for Microsoft? Surely.
Yeah, but Microsoft was never in the like community business. Like, they've never been in that business. Facebook is exactly that business, right? I mean,
Amazon's probably not either, though, right? I mean, I wouldn't consider that very community oriented.
No, but that doesn't mean that you can't manage or have a separate business unit that isn't. Microsoft just sucked at it, and Microsoft has been historically bad at doing shit that it's not good at.
The one thing I'll say about integrated audience, though, is, I mean, you have, but is it the right audience, right? So most people are on Facebook. They have all their friends and their family, not necessarily the people that would watch them stream. So yes, they could have followers that are fans of theirs and viewers, but not necessarily it's the right audience or collective group that's gonna want to watch them.
Yeah, on that point too, like, one of the former Mixer streamers that we talked to last week said that he didn't choose Facebook specifically, and a lot of the people he knew too.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of the privacy, like, he didn't want his friends and his family watching his streams. That wasn't, he didn't want to reach that audience. It wasn't even like it wasn't applicable. It's like he didn't want that overlap.
Yeah,
so.
By the way, Facebook Gaming, there's been ads on Facebook and Instagram that, like, constantly for me in the past, like, 2 weeks. I see it nonstop.
I know.
Just showing up on my feed. They
drill me on Instagram, for sure.
I mean, they ultimately such a good deal on those ads.
Yeah, they ultimately have unlimited free advertising to the largest group of people that you can advertise to on planet Earth.
Yeah.
If Facebook Gaming were to fail, I think it'd be harder for it to fail than it would to succeed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You'd have to really mess something up,
Like Mixer. Can't pull a Mixer.
Yeah, no,
Can't pull a
don't
mixer.
want to do that.
Well, something I've heard a lot of streamers say that they really like about Facebook is the thing that you just mentioned. Our friends at Mixer from last week said they didn't. A lot of people are like, you know what? The likelihood of someone trying to troll me and harass me and give me death threats and do all these other things that are just terrible in chat is a lot less when their real name is attached to it. And I think that's important because on one hand, you can have a streamer who's saying, I don't want to be on Facebook for safety and security reasons. Totally get it. You can have another streamer who's saying, I specifically want to be on Facebook for safety and security reasons. As crazy as that sounds, there's some truth to both sides. So it really depends on where you sit, which camp you kind of sit in. But I think there's a good point to that. I mean, YouTube's kind of similar. Like there's a lot of people that have if they authenticate with Google, their real name, if they use that for Gmail, is on their YouTube profile. So they either need to go in, and if you've ever tried to change the name that displays on your YouTube profile, it is fucking brain damage to try and do it. You can do it, but it is super difficult. It's not intuitive at all. It's really hard to do, but you can do it. So I don't know. I think there's a lot. It's going to take a lot of time before we really know kind of how it's going to shake down with Facebook. It's just crazy how they just sort of came out of nowhere. But I'm curious, and Rhino, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But if Facebook is able to continue on the growth trajectory that they're on, COVID, no COVID, whatever, how do they end up? Like, how do they differentiate themselves from Twitch, given that Twitch had first mover advantage and the amount of market they've captured as a result of that? They can pick up to a point, but I feel like not that they'll equalize, but I feel like the pressure will equalize in some way. And Facebook's just going to have to be different somehow than Twitch. Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, it's Twitch, but it's on Facebook.
Yeah. So my standing answer for that, and with any question related to that with other platforms, is just discoverability. I think the platform's going to do well when it provides the tools for discoverability, and it's not just going out and paying for large streamers to come over and bring over an audience. So I think that's the key to any growing platform is to ultimately cater to those smaller streamers. But so one thing I wanted to point out is, and Ace touched on this before. So for me, I'm getting it was ultimately today when I read this article, and I was like, I'm tired of hearing about the growth and the growth trajectory of Facebook, because the percentages don't necessarily make sense unless you put numbers behind it. So I'm going to do a little math lesson, and I'll see if you guys can follow along. It probably doesn't make sense.
I'm going to see if you guys can follow along.
Okay,
we'll try our best.
Hold on, let me grab my notebook.
We'll try our best.
So I didn't know. So for me, I don't know where to start, because I don't know how many viewers Twitch has or how many viewers Facebook has, or concurrent viewers at any point in month or quarter or year. So what I did was just randomly, I took a subset. So I went on to Twitch and I went to Facebook, and I said, okay, let me just look at not by gamer category, just the top streaming, top to bottom. And I looked at all the streamers that had above 5,000 viewers at that point in time. So Twitch had 70 and Facebook had 8. So if you want to look at a percentage growth, you said that Twitch had 56% growth and Facebook had 75% growth. So for Twitch to get to 70 and represent 56% growth, it would have to go from 45 to 70, which is 25 increased viewers. For Facebook to go to 8 viewers and have 75% growth, it has to go from 4.5 to 8, which is a growth of 3.5 viewers. So you're looking at a 75% growth rate compared to 56% growth rate, which represents 3.5 viewers from Facebook compared to 25 viewers from Twitch. So when you focus really on the percentages, it doesn't really put it in perspective, the amount of viewers. So you can say that Facebook's growing 200% quarter after quarter, and that may not even come to a fraction of what Twitch is doing unless you look at the bottom line numbers. So for me, that's what I would focus on.
So I think you're 100% right. I think what's important about the number is, for one, no one was talking about Facebook until a few months ago, and then all of a sudden Facebook is just blowing up, right? Facebook Facebook was not growing at any kind of respectable clip prior to that. No one really cared about it. No one was really going there or signing up there or anything like that. And the next thing you know, it's happening. There are people going there. So there was some catalyst there that led people to say, hey, maybe this is a good place to go stream. And for viewers to say, hey, maybe this is a good place to go watch. The second piece of it is that relative to other platforms, Facebook is more or less the only one you're really hearing about right now, aside from Twitch, because Twitch is Twitch, right? It's, it's like talking about e-commerce and not mentioning Amazon. It just kind of goes hand in hand. So I agree with you. I think that the base numbers are important. This particular article didn't have it, although I'm sure the report does. We should probably take a look at that for another episode. But I still think those 2 points are worth noting, that it's always kind of like, okay, who are we talking about compared to Twitch? And these guys came out of nowhere. They blew past Mixer, who was the kind of the fan favorite for next second fiddle to Twitch. They're now gone, completely just deleted. And now you've got the Facebook thing, which is blowing up, and you've got, a trillion Zuck bucks behind it to just keep it going indefinitely. So I think the numbers are important, but I also think context is important as well.
Yeah, fuck math. Just saying.
Dude, I'm with you on that one.
For the record, we did follow along.
I made up all those numbers too.
It wasn't obvious.
No, they're actually real numbers.
I didn't know 3.5 was a real number.
It was.
Wow. I learned something new.
So the two of the directories that were doing a lot of the work have been Just Chatting, which is pretty consistently one of the top, if not the top directory. So 94% increase since January. I know that's based off of a big number. So that's, to Rhino's point, that's a lot of growth there. That's not really surprising, honestly, just given the fact that, people are social shut-ins right now in a lot of ways, or should be if you're in states like Florida. So that lack of social interaction, you can kind of pick that up on streaming, which is fun. Music up 268% since January. Those are small numbers, but that's a big increase. Music is not typically one of those categories that grows a lot, but it has. And the growth in these categories, could very well be a reflection of how people are living through this pandemic, right? When you look at the categories that are the ones that are growing the most, they are the social type categories. And what are we lacking right now in our lives? We're lacking a lot of social interaction, these real, non-digital social interaction. And what I think is cool about maybe not just chatting so much, but music, is that music is really one of those sort of purer interaction type things. And what I mean by that is, if you're a social shut-in because of a pandemic, you can go on Instagram, you can go on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And a lot of times, and a lot of people will tell you, there's just a lot of toxicity there. I think especially nowadays, being that we're in an election cycle, there's more of that. Music, though, you don't really get that as much. Music, you're in a place where generally everyone is happy, everyone is relatively relaxed and calm and enjoying each other's company, and it's social, but it's more peaceful, more relaxed, and just more enjoyable. So I think there's elements both good and bad of that growth. I had a question I wanted to throw to Ace, because I'm genuinely curious, because you're a little bit younger than the rest of us, but could this be one of those like generation defining type events where it's essentially creating streaming loyalists, people who will, for years and years and years to come, be like, yeah, you know what? I got into streaming back in the 2020 pandemic, and I didn't think it was for me. And now it's just, a part of my life, part of the entertainment I consume.
Oh yeah. And I think most of that is just because of people who aren't in the scene recognizing it. I mean, everybody internally has been preaching the growth and everything, and oh my God, like see us. We are now one of the biggest not one of the biggest industries, but I mean, getting there, growing and growing. And people are like, no, it's video games. And now, because it's so much more, like there's so much more variety, and there's so many, it's appealing to so many more people and generations of people. They're going to look at this time as like that spike in when this industry took off, even though it probably isn't. I think it's an easy way to identify a short-term period of growth that's, as you said, going to define this generation of at least this industry. So
yeah. Yep, I agree. I think this is going to be one of those things that people point back to, not the pandemic thing, obviously they will, but this moment in time for this industry, this creative medium. I think this will be that time where people look back and go like, that was it. That was the time where it just, took off. Along those same lines, that takes us to our second story tonight, which is Twitch just added a sports category to its main directory. This is kind of interesting because, for some context, sports have not always been allowed on Twitch. There's good reason for that. Typically, with sports, the money is made in licensing agreements and broadcast agreements. So when you introduce a new broadcast medium that's essentially free, that money isn't there anymore, and people stop making money, and that's when people get pissed off, and you have lawsuits and all these other things. So sports, for the most part, have kind of been sort of a taboo type thing. And by sports, I'm talking about traditional sports, not esports, have sort of been like this taboo on live streaming because of that reason. People will stream copyrighted stuff or live broadcasts that they're not supposed to do, and you get in all kinds of trouble for that. And Twitch doesn't want to deal with that shit. Well, over the last few years, Twitch has been signing more and more streaming agreements with sports clubs, affiliated organizations, different leagues. And we've seen, especially during this pandemic, a lot of athletes who have come out and said like, hey, I'm going to stream, or I'm streaming on behalf of my team, or I'm going to rep my team in this game, and that type of thing. And then people who follow those athletes in particular have been tuning in as viewers because they can't see them playing basketball or football or baseball or hockey or any of those other traditional sports because they're kind of all, or were at least, on hold for the COVID pandemic. So I'm kind of curious here, and Rhino, I'm going to toss this one to you, but what are your thoughts on how sports teams and leagues should be looking at this shift to live streaming long term? What are some of the opportunities available to them as they get into live streaming long term, right? Like not just COVID, like, okay, COVID ends tomorrow, everyone goes back to work. What happens? And what are some of the risks involved for them too?
So honestly, help me understand who's going to be live streaming. I'm having, so it's not professional sports teams. It's what?
No, well, it is.
What's in this category?
Yeah, so it's anything that's traditional sports related. So there'll be like sports clubs, sports teams. Like they can have official channels, obviously, because they own their content, so they can do what they want to do with it. It'll be like authorized or cleared or licensed content that's being streamed. Right now, it's just a bunch of pirated shit, which has always been the problem. But I'm sure Twitch will clean that up. But yeah, more like traditional type sports, like actual like live events, recorded events, whatever.
Right.
How would they monetize that though?
Yeah, I was just going to ask
like the
that.
NFL,
Yeah.
like people aren't going to subscribe to the NFL's Twitch channel.
Well, I don't think it's going to come from the major organizations. I think it's going to come from the people within. All these athletes hopping in, tweeting we're live. Like, just for example, I'm looking at this tweet from Austin Eckler from the Chargers a couple of days ago. He's like, we're live doing some giveaways from Wilson Football and at Adidas. And I think that's where the money's going to come from, is just like general promotion and sponsorship.
Oh, so just like traditional advertising, but move to Twitch instead of on irrelevant TV networks?
I think so. I mean, you go on Twitch, and especially, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but you go on Twitch and you're a sports fan and you're not necessarily familiar with Twitch, or maybe you are, but you come to Twitch and you're like, holy shit, Austin Eckler is live with 10,000 viewers. He's streaming his workout and he's giving away stuff. That's, even now going to be big, but the potential for growth in that, just like every day having those kinds of audiences that sports has never been able to reach. Like that's the reason esports does so well, is because sure, they sell out a stadium, but there's millions of people watching at home. And now sports is going to have that opportunity through their players.
One thing I will say though, with your comparison, is I feel like that doesn't really translate, because like seeing some football players' workout routine doesn't really constitute live sports. You know what I mean? My question stems from, which I still think you honestly answered it, but my question stemmed from like sports leagues. Like the NFL owns all the rights to NFL footage, so they would have to themselves go on and broadcast. It's not like an athlete can broadcast a sports game. Unless they had like a GoPro on their helmet, which honestly I would watch. That'd be kind of sick. Anyways, that'd be cool, dude. Seeing like like Justin Verlander pitching with a GoPro on his helmet. Anyways, I feel like it's going to be kind of hard to get these giant corporate leagues like the NFL to go to something so new because they're just so stuck in their ways and old fashioned. I feel like we're going to have to find a better way for them to advertise on there before it happens. And then maybe at that point is when that'll really take off. That's my assumption.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I mean, I think it's been done one way for so long. I think it's going to be a difficult transition to the extent it is. So I don't really have a good feel on, how well it'll take off or not.
But doesn't that make this the perfect time for them to do this though? I mean, this is the time where essentially you're saying, listen, you old fuckers who've done it this way all the time, you're just getting fed your own shit now, and you need to do it a different way. Like literally the universe is forcing you to do it a different way, or you just die. Like, are you saying that they're just gonna be like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just die? I mean, they're gonna have to do something different.
You want to hear
what
a
are they
fun
being
fact?
forced to do? I don't get it.
Well, I'm saying like they don't like. There's people aren't going to be going to these events and sitting in the stadiums and all that stuff. There's like it's different in the stadium versus watching on TV versus watching on Twitch. Like those are three different things. So if you have those three options available to you, which you can watch the NFL on Twitch already, NFL and Amazon have a deal where you can watch, I think it's Thursday Night Football or something. You can do that. You've just taken one of those options away. So now there's only two. So do all those people who sat in the stands before just go, oh, out of those two options, well, we're all just going to watch it at home on TV? Or do you think some of them are going to come watch it on a live stream where they can interact with a shit ton of people through chat directly? There's going to be a mix.
Yeah, I mean, but also I don't know. There's a difference necessarily what people want. I mean, I could see if they could interact and chat with people while the live event's going on, that might be cool. But is that making the corporations more money, the leagues more money?
I don't think so.
But I don't think so. So,
and I'll show you why.
Why rock the boat? Why switch?
Here's what I was going to say when I accidentally interrupted because of how fun this fact was. The average age of a television network NBA viewer is 42, which is whatever. It's 42. NFL is 50, and the Major League Baseball is 57. So I don't think 40 to 60-year-olds, the average age of a viewer for these leagues is going to go on Twitch. I think if Amazon or some other platform were to emerge that was solely sports, like just sports live streams, then it could work. But I don't think that age bracket is going to want to go on Twitch, see all this weird Fortnite. What is that? It's going to rot my son's brain. And then there's like a mix of what's esports? I don't understand this platform. And then they're going to leave. But if it was solely sports or like a completely separate thing for sports, I think it would work out a lot better.
Well, what about the argument of how do sports, to your point about the demographic, that's fair, but how do these sports appeal to a younger demographic? I mean, at some point in their history, a lot of these sports appeal to, sub 40, sub 50-year-olds, right? It's not like 40 and 50-year-olds spontaneously just said, oh, I'm into football.
Yeah,
they were in it at a younger age. So what a lot of these leagues are saying is like, we're not as good at getting to that demographic because that demographic doesn't watch TV.
That's fair,
in the same way that 40 and 50-year-olds are. When is this? April of 2018, Amazon paid the NFL $130 million for streaming rights just to Thursday Night Football. There's your money. There's some money right there. And that doesn't even count the ads that they're selling that are going to go, they're going to have ads too. There's no way the NFL is going to do shit without ads. Yeah. Like the Super Bowl is a meme because of the commercials.
I guess maybe if they did it as a mix, I guess my issue here is the whole time I've been envisioning this as like, oh, they're solely on Twitch now. I guess kind of got to remember they're still going to be on TV as well. So I don't know why that slipped my mind, but now that I think of it that way, there's really no reason for this not to happen. But
I mean, it is, but to your point, and which I think is a great point, it is a different viewing experience, but that's the whole point. The point is that it's a different demographic, different audience, different platform. The viewing experience should be different. It's like the whole argument of like, why would I go watch it live in a stadium when I can just watch it from home? Like, why am I going to go to Gainesville to watch the Gators play and sweat my ass off in awful weather when I can just sit home on my couch, have a better view, drink way cheaper alcohol? I can't even get alcohol in the stadium. right?
But I don't know if that's a
Alcohol
right
in their
comparison. That's a
How
total
is that
different
not?
experience, because that's a
It's
total
a-
different
I
experience.
agree. It's a
So
whole
is
different
watching
vibe.
on Twitch.
I much prefer live events than watching sports on TV.
I agree. Like going to a UCF game in person at the bounce house or watching it on TV is an entirely different experience.
But it's
It
just
is
different.
no,
It's
not
different, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
exactly.
Yeah. It, like, nobody's gonna say that. I mean, obviously, I would prefer to go. If I had season tickets to go see the Steelers, I would go every time and prefer that. But the beauty of it is the ease of access, and that it's now in a much nicer and more interactive fashion.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I agree. I
and-
think as long as it's not the only option, it's fine.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I still love to go watch it live, but I don't want my only option to be go sweat my ass off in a stadium to watch
that's
this
fair.
game when I can just watch it at home and be more comfortable. Like, yeah, if someone's like got some crazy deal on tickets and it's like no big deal, sure, I'll go. But
Price wise
So-
too, I mean, that, going to the game isn't always an option for everybody. So having another next best option other than just flicking it on TV it's nice.
so I guess the I don't know what you want to call it, but sort of the transition here for people who are now coming to streaming to watch traditional sports. Do you think that this is ultimately going to help that audience? Forget what the demographic is, but just say traditional sports type folks. Is that going to help that audience sort of transition and maybe start exploring esports? And Ace, I'm curious what you think of that since you're the esports guy.
Tanner's shaking his head no, but I'm definitely saying yes, because when they go on Twitch and you go to browse and you're searching through categories, I don't really know what the fuck Overwatch is. What is, League of Legends? That doesn't look fun to watch. Oh, sports. I like sports. Let me click on that. You go to sports, you open sports, and again, you see Austin Eckler, Juju, streaming for a couple tens of thousands of people. You tune in and it's good content. Boom, Twitch viewer for life, as far as I'm concerned. That's a whole new opportunity for you.
How Robo and Rhino, you guys are shaking your heads. What do you guys think about that? You're not seeing it happen?
No, I don't know. I mean, personally, I'm not. I think it really depends on the situation. I don't think overall that would happen. I think the people who would watch esports are the people who are already on Twitch and then see that sports are added. I don't think people are going to join Twitch for the first time as a sports viewer, and then next thing you know, they're watching esports, because I feel like esports is a very I don't know if I'd say niche, but it's a very, it appeals to a very specific type of person.
Well, it doesn't have to be esports though. It can be music or it can be art.
Oh, I thought you were just referring to esports.
Well, I mean,
esports I was, but I mean,
big, but
we can go the other way too.
Well, okay. So my thing with esports is I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if they're coming to Twitch to watch normal sports and they were completely unfamiliar with Twitch as a platform before that, I don't think they're going to be on there for anything else. Just because to really understand esports, you have to understand the game. Honestly, I think it's a lot better if you've played the game, because then you could fully understand it. You got to understand the logistics of how esports work, like having a team, having tournaments, and how it works in comparison to normal sports. And I feel like it's kind of a bigger barrier of entry to somebody who's not already a gamer. Now, if they're already a gamer and they're already familiar with what esports are, sure, they'd probably tune in for the first time. But I guess I would just say it's really situational.
I think the answer is going to be different now than it is a year from now, just because people overall are becoming more familiar with just the general concept of esports as it is, and just like becoming aware that that's even a thing. So it might change, but I agree, it's definitely situational.
I think you touched on a good point though, and I think I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, I think you'll have some bleed over just out of curiosity. Which is interesting, because on TV you don't have that. On TV you kind of know your channels, right? Like if you've ever sat down, if you've ever gone over to a friend's house to watch a sporting event, when the commercials come on, they don't just be like, oh, let's just flick through the channels and see what's on. They go to another sports channel, another sports channel, another sport. Like they have that shit pre-programmed. They know what games are on, whatever. They bounce around, right? With streaming and Twitch and other platforms, it's way more exploratory at that point. You're not just like flicking around and just kind of like looking for like, where's the next sports channel? I mean, you could do that, but that's not really how how it works. What I think that bridge is going to be, to Ace's point from earlier, is when you tune in and you see one of your favorite athletes, whether it's soccer or NBA or something like that, some of the sports that typically appeal to a younger generation. When you see them playing Overwatch, Call of Duty, Fortnite, whatever it is, that's when you, as a fan of that individual, are going to go like, oh shit, they're into that. Like maybe
That's cool.
maybe that's cool. Yeah.
Like
maybe
Drake.
that
It's
isn't.
like when Drake played Fortnite.
Exactly. Right. Except it's, somebody cool. So
Mhm.
you watch it and you're like, oh shit. Like you said, like Juju, he actually joined that stream with Drake and Ninja. He played that same night. He played Fortnite with them. And that I think that introduced a lot of, it got traditional sporting publications talking about a non-traditional sport event, because this dude and a couple other football players just happened to be part of it. Ninja's been, he was at one of the Detroit Lions games and did something. I forget what he did at the game. I don't know. He did something, but, so I think that's the bridge. And I think that's the kind of the important piece that's here. I also think, and I'll keep this brief, but this is something that I'm passionate about, and I think we're gonna see a lot more of here coming up. But I think this could also be an inflection point for some of these smaller, lesser known universities and colleges to get on the map with esports and to start sharing some of that traction that they gain from esports with their traditional sports efforts. So actually the reverse of the current model, where you have the major schools who are known for their traditional athletics programs who are just like, let's get into esports now. You've actually got the early adopters in all of this thing, where some of these small, like Midwestern colleges, smaller colleges, junior colleges that people had never really heard of before outside of their region, who are just like, fuck that. Our basketball team is never going to be shit, but we have a badass Overwatch team or a badass League or Dota team. Let's prop that up and get some notoriety for that. When that shit takes off, they may be able to do the opposite of like what, some of these schools and like Power 5 conferences have done, and say like, hey, like, maybe we can start competing at a slightly higher level in basketball or maybe football or baseball or some of these other sports. Ari or Ace, I'm kind of curious what you think about that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. College esports, I think, is just so small now compared to what it can be and what it's going to be. And you're absolutely right. That's going to be a big bridge. And also, and I'm not exactly sure on exactly how this is working yet, but I'm pretty sure that, like, isn't the NBA talking about doing something, or they already have with the NBA League, like an NBA 2K League hosted or owned by the NBA, and a similar thing with FIFA. I think there might be some overlap there between college sports as well, and just generally what we're talking about with kind of the traditional sports viewers kind of oozing into the esports side.
Yeah, well, the 2K League teams are owned by the NBA parent team.
Okay,
so like Magic Gaming is owned by the Orlando Magic parent organization. Yeah, and the NBA has set the model, in my opinion, of what a pro sports organization or league, how it supports esports. Like, they have gone all in. Their teams support it. Their teams are the owners. The players are some of the investors in other teams and stuff. The NBA and NBA team players have been on the forefront of esports, hands down, unlike any other league in professional sports. So we've actually got an episode coming up later this week. You're listening to this on Tuesday. On Thursday night, we've got a really interesting episode we did with a owner of a sports and other quote unquote talent agency. And we get really into that stuff. It's one of the best episodes we've ever done. So definitely, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, be back Thursday, listen to that. You're really going to like that episode. Moving along, third final story of this episode has to do with the rapper Logic, who just signed a 7-figure streaming deal with Twitch. So interesting story about Logic. So I've tried listening to his stuff before, and he's good. It's just not really my style, but like he's clearly talented. And he has a lot of fans and everything, but he just got remarried last year. He just had his first kid this year, and he announced after he dropped his latest album that he's just kind of taking a step back from music. He called it retirement, but who knows what the fuck that means nowadays. But he's taking a pause, but instead of music, he's turning his efforts to live streaming. Twitch signed the guy to a $1 million plus agreement. Nobody knows exactly what it is. They just know it's 7 figures. And he said, I'm not going to do music on my channel. That's not what it's about. It's going to be about me, my fans, playing video games. He's been a gamer for a long time. He's incorporated games into his music, into his art that he's done. So it's not something new to him. It's not something that he's just kind of like trying to ride a wave of or anything. It's something he's done. He's actually been a streamer on Twitch since about 2015. So that's kind of, it's like half of Twitch's lifespan. He's been there and he's kind of streamed on and off. But I think this is cool because it's a really good move on Twitch's part to sign someone that has a strong following that isn't directly associated with gaming. This is the first time Twitch has ever done anything like this. And I also think it's a good validation of the platform sort of stance that they're trying to onboard more music related stuff, even if it's not specifically, he's not going to do music, but he's still connected to that. It's kind of that tangent between gaming and music, which I think is probably a really smart acquisition on their part. But I have a thought on this. I'm going to toss this on a Rhino. This actually could be pretty problematic for Caffeine. Caffeine, their differentiator has been people exactly like Logic that are kind of stepping away, like not involved so much in that gaming space. And now Twitch is essentially, playing Facebook to their Instagram and saying, hey, that's cool what you're doing. Now we're doing it. What are you going to do? All right. It's like, you're the small competitor. You're different. Okay. Now we are too. What are you going to do about it? So I'm kind of curious what your take is on that.
Well, I don't know how much it's going to compete with Caffeine, but I mean, I think it's a great step by Twitch. I mean, to branch off beyond gaming and to just kind of dabble and experiment in that. So yeah, I mean, Caffeine, I was looking at Caffeine the other day. There's so many different nuances with Caffeine between what they're doing and other live streaming platforms, even between Twitch and prior Mixer, and Facebook. They just really have a whole different model in place. Everything from their revenue model to just their whole UI UX experience. So I don't know if it's a great comparison to say that it's going to be problematic for Caffeine. But I'd rather focus on, I just think it's a great move independently. It's a great move by Twitch, just to branch off and try this.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. I kind of feel like it's kind of like kicking some sand in Caffeine's face a little bit, but they just kind of brush it off and they're like, yeah, you did it, but we do this every day kind of thing. Like, cool, but we're still this and you're still that. You can try to be this, but we're actually that thing. So I don't feel like it's going to do too much. I think if they get really serious about it though, I think that could be problematic for them because Caffeine is still very much like they just raised money. So they're still in that stage, whereas Twitch is just, making money, a lot of it. And they already have their buyer. So they're good. They're with Amazon. They're covered. This question though, Robo, I wanted to toss this one to you, man. Do you follow Logic at all? Like, are you into his shit? Is that?
I used to be in high school, but honestly, I haven't probably listened to a Logic song in since then.
Okay. So if he has retired from music, how do you think this is going to affect his following on Twitch? I mean, Twitch is really investing heavily in music right now, but he's straight up said, like, that's not what this channel is about. It's about gaming. Like, I mean, his fans, I'm sure he's going to bring a lot of them over, but are they his fans because of his music? Like, do you think that's going to like impact him, or is this really just going to be something where he's just like, fuck it. It is what it is. Watch me or don't.
I don't know. I feel like Logic is one of those artists who a lot of his fans kind of become fans for the culture around him. It's kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Tyler the Creator, but Tyler the Creator fans are not just fans of his music, they're fans of his lifestyle. And I feel like Logic fans are a lot of the same way. Again, that may be an assumption because I'm not really a Logic fan. But I feel like he'll have an extremely high turnover rate. Like, there will be a lot of people watching him on Twitch. I can almost guarantee you he'll be like top 5 of the directory every time he's streaming. Like, I don't know how. I guarantee you he has millions of followers on Instagram and Twitter. And now that he's not making music, all these hardcore, diehard fans are going to want to tune in to learn more about him as a person instead of just what he creates. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ace, what do you think about that? Do you think he loses his luster if he doesn't do the music thing?
Yeah, at first I thought yes, and that's just because like Robo said, I'm not a big Logic fan, but then I imagine if the musicians, my favorite musicians that I do like, that are my favorite, if they streamed on Twitch, even if it was just video games, I would watch and I would care about it because I do I am a fan of their brand and their lifestyle, as Robo said. And touching on that point too, Logic's quote unquote brand does overlap with kind of the gaming industry theme, kind of ironically enough. I mean, what he said, like you were mentioning, he said, this is the place where if you want to interact with me, you're going to do it here. He said, I'm not going to be having political debates. I'm going to be on Twitch helping people after they've had a day of protesting or political debates unwind and laugh and smile. And that's, I think, kind of a lot of the positive vibes, energy that a lot of streamers go for. And you ask a streamer what's special about their channel, and they'll say that. And I think that's kind of just an overall theme of people who are streaming on Twitch. And he matches that really well, and he already has this established following. So I think, like Robo said, there will be a good turnover.
Yeah, I agree. I think Twitch did a really good job here in signing someone who's like that perfect kind of like, almost like tangent to what they are, but it's just so close. There's probably some other geometric term for that or whatever, but he's so close to what Twitch is, but he's not what Twitch is. And I think that's what they were going for. Right. And I think to Robo's point, like his brand is strong. And that's, I mean, how often do we talk about that on this show and just, as a team about the importance of that, like branding. And I also think the whole, like, the whole, his authenticity of just who he is as a person, who he is as a brand, as long as he stays true to that, I 100% agree with Robo. Like, I think he's going to blow up. I maybe not 100%. I don't know that he'll be quite as big as you think he is. I think it's going to really just depend on how well he can carry one of those channels, a streaming channel, because even if he's your favorite, if he gets on there and he sucks at streaming, it's going to be like, yeah, man, I really like you, but dude, you're just bad at this. Like, have you ever had, someone that you followed or admired or looked up to or whatever, and they jump off and do something else and you're excited and you watch them do it and you're like, fuck, they're bad at this. Go back to doing the thing you're good at.
I mean, honestly though, one thing I will argue with that just real quick is, I've seen a lot of e-girl streamers who absolutely suck at streaming, but pull like 20 billion viewers because they're just like, oh, hey, you like my stream? And I'm just saying, bro, I feel like a very famous person like Logic will have people who will just watch him to try to get him to notice their chats, even if he sucks at every game he's playing. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, true. Where else can you do that? Where else can you just like chat with the dude? So that could be part of it too. Just like, hey, notice me. Good point. Cool. Well, fellas, as always, it's been deeply insightful and enlightening as it is on these shows. So thank you so much. That concludes this episode of the StreamKick Podcast. What do we do? Oh yeah, we need ratings and reviews, guys. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Podchaser, wherever you go. I completely lost my train of thought there. Definitely hit us up. Ratings and reviews are super helpful. Helps more people find us, which we're all about, and it helps us improve the show. So please share if you have any feedback. On social, we are very easy to find on both Twitter and Instagram. We are at StreamKick Pod, StreamKick POD. On the web at streamkick.com and on Facebook at Watch StreamKick. And and these are on YouTube now. I keep forgetting that. We're recording these and putting these on YouTube. So that's exciting. We have our podcast on video form, which is awesome. We're very excited about that. Robo, where can people find you?
For sure. You could also find me on YouTube, RoboKast, RoboKast. I make some sick Minecraft videos. I also am on Twitter. Same at RoboKast. You can go on there and see my tweets that nobody really cares about.
You do have good Minecraft advice, though.
I'm the CEO of Minecraft Advice.
Dude, you've helped me so much. I just got into the game like a month ago, and I nag you all the time for advice. And you're pretty good about that. Ace, where can people find you?
Well, I don't make sick Minecraft videos, but you can find me on Twitter at Ace Aspires.
Twitter at Ace Aspires. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Like I said, tune in Thursday. We have an awesome episode. If you liked any of the stuff we talked about tonight, we have a great in-depth episode on Thursday where we cover the sports thing and the tangents to streaming. Very fun stuff. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.